Hello, everybody, to another episode of the streaming. Whole thought on my face immediately. Welcome, everybody, once again to another episode of Building Worlds. I'm Joshua MacGregor, and I am doing a writing session where I'm going to do some world building. And you guys can drop in and watch if you so choose to do so, and throw ideas at me in the chat, and we could talk about stuff, your ideas, and my ideas, and just kind of throw bandy things around back and forth, and it's fun. So that's why I'm here. That's what I'm doing. Today we are returning to Sekahashis, which is a world bifurcated between night and day, and desert and tundra. You know, sun and ice. And last time we really dug into the monsters, and we got some of the races all figured out and down, and we had some of the flora and fauna, and a little bit of the history. But this time, the idea is that we're gonna do a little bit of core mythology building as a foundation for sort of like cultures in this world. And then we're going to do some faction building and making some characters who may be the leaders of various groups and how everybody connects to everybody else. So let's do that. Hello, Alberta. How wonderful to see that you are here. Lovely. Here we go. So, without further ado, ha 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 ha, Sekahashis. So first off, let's recap. This is Sekahashis. The world obviously continues beyond these. Oh, lovely to see you. Yeah, obviously continues beyond these edges. But this is like the temperate zone. Even the deep desert is, is still relatively habitable compared to that piece of land that's directly facing the sun and never turns away, and it's just baked. It's just like absolutely torched to all heck. On the other side, hello, Baltus. Lovely to see you there, Mike. Welcome. We're just talking about a little change that I made here, which is the inclusion of the Underdark as like an official thing. And Owen, hello, Owen, you're here. Wonderful. Welcome back. For those of you who do not know, the Underdark is a concept in D&D, which is really cool, and that's just the idea that there is an entire world of subterranean tunnels and caverns with its own ecosystems and monsters and intelligent races, and all that stuff. So I'm gonna take that wholesale, and it was very much implied from all like the monsters and things we were creating last time, but actually like going, you've got sort of the surface, and then some of the cold underground near the surface, sort of in this deep tundra, and then below that the Underdark, where things are a bit warmer because things, heat gets trapped, which means that you can have all kinds of extra different life. And I realized as an extension of that there is another race that we can add to Nightside native. We can actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we can make this Underdark native. Boop. And Underdark natives would probably like Nightside natives, and then maybe these guys also come into the dark, like the Dampier. Probably I would put in the Underdark instead. But I also have this idea for a race called Dreltar. And this is a race that I've already pre-made. Let me quickly go find this homebrew. Races homebrew. Dreltar. So here's like the pitch for Dreltar. The subterranean caverns of many worlds have given rise to the Dreltar, sentient humanoids who substitute sight for other extraordinary senses. The unique aura sense is often mistaken for telepathy, a false notion the Dreltar rarely go out of their way to correct. Dreltar have leathery skin, which can range from matte gray to oily black, long dexterous fingers, and long tongues, which they often use to taste the air as one of their extra visual senses. While the Dreltar speak the common tongue, they can use subtle intonation and manipulation of their electromagnetic fields, either way, which is aura. They can use subtle intonation to communicate almost entirely non-verbally amongst themselves. So, two sort of like divergent race options for Dreltar are sort of inquisitive and corpse speaker. Inquisitive gives you the ability to cast Detect Thoughts a number of times per long rest equal to your Wisdom modifier, and Corpse Speaker gives you the ability to read the lingering electrical impulses in a humanoid that has been dead for no more than a day. As an action, you learn the circumstances of their death, including their final thoughts and feelings as they died. The older the body, the less additional information you gain. At the DM's discretion, you can learn more about the person the corpse once was and what fears and desires motivated them. You may use this feature a number of times per long rest equal to your Wisdom modifier. So very much like the final image that you see being captured on your retinas, the idea that the lingering electrical impulses can give an idea, paint a picture of your final moments. That is what a corpse speaker Dreltar is, and they have they have a certain amount of what might be considered psionics, sort of the idea here, but they also have instead of sight, they have tremor sense, which they have up to 80 feet, which is like Toph, which is very, very cool. They don't have eyes; these are an eyeless race. They also have something called aura sense, with up to 20 feet, so a little bit limited. But within that space, they can sense the presence of organic creatures and read the minutest changes in their electromagnetic fields, or auras. They have a special organ for this. This is a senses that they... special organ. They have special ability to sense electromagnetic fields. While in proximity, when a Dreltar rolls insight on an organic creature, a roll of 9 or lower is treated as a 10 on the d20. So, basically, mechanically, it means that it's much easier for them to feel out, to suss out whether people are lying, what their intentions are, what kind of things they're thinking about, that kind of thing. They have this extra sense that I sort of made up myself. So that's what a Dreltar is, and I was like, if there's an Underdark, and they are blind, so there's no need for them to know what the sun is. Dreltar are absolutely friggin' amazing. Use their psionics. Use their psionics. And intelligence to make life for themselves in the Underdark. Boop. And the Underdark is especially it is an especially appropriate name, I think, because Underdark, Underdarkness. What do we got in the chat here? We've got Owen, hello. How does capitalism play into this world, or does it not? What a fantastic question. And then the other one is there any natural depressant on the planet? Do you mean like a natural sort of like plant or substance that makes somebody depressed, or do you mean like something that dampens an ability or an effect of some kind? Would be my question back to you, and I'll answer the capitalism question. That's one of the things that we're going to be talking about is that these people are very practical minded, and they're who their instincts are to survive. Like everything in this world gears them up for survival, which means that in the context of their societies on this world, capitalism is not a thing. They are very cutthroat. They need resources. They'll kill anybody to get their resources and survive and allow their children to survive. But water for the Daysiders and heat for the Nightsiders. These are keys to survival. These are commodities essentially that are incredibly important. So these are the things that they that have value to them that they care about. But also, if you're like the GIF, we established last time that the GIF, who are humanoid hippopotamuses, um, they weaponize boom plants to give them an advantage, which, the idea being that there is a plant that substitutes the effects of gunpowder, and that they could use that for little explosions for guns and grenades and barrels and things like that. So the for the GIF, that plant and the harvesting of that plant is hugely important, and but rather than trade for that plant, if another group has it, they're more likely to just murder the people who have it and take it for themselves, because it's that kind of world, if that makes sense. And I hope that answers that question. Yeah. Well, the thing about Sekahashis is that it's such a brutal planet, right? It's so brutal that when 300-ish years ago, let's look at our timeline actually and make sure that I'm not talking out of my butt. Yeah. So we don't, yeah, oh, okay, so 250 years ago, contact is made between Mor-Anar and Sekahashis. So Mor-Anar is the central planet in the eponymous Anaran assembly. The centaurs of Mor-Anar are the ones who put this thing together. They made contact with Sekahashis 250 years ago, and since then there has been an interstellar community that these people have enjoyed, which allows them basically to leave. Just leave Sekahashis. And suddenly, when survival is not so much is not being tried so much, but the instinct is still there to survive. Everybody on this planet, finds either positions of power and stability and security, or become mercenaries. Right, put their extraordinary skills for survival and death dealing to work. So let's fully go into factions. We've got GIF mercenaries. These guys, we know that this is the way they're portrayed in D&D, but in context it works really well. The GIF were eager to get off-world as soon as the opportunity arose, maintain their scarcity mindset, however, and they are known as misers and charge extraordinary amounts for their services. They earn this, however, by being ruthlessly efficient, having no standard moral compass, and accepting offers from the highest bidder. This means that certain mercenary bands will have taken work both for and against the Anaran Assembly and the Tahiri Empire, who are the two main intergalactic opposing forces. So we've got GIF mercenaries, right? We know that Dreltar have that like corpse speaker sense, or that inquisitive sense, to almost like read minds without casting spells. So the thing that is important to sort of like drive home about the Dreltar is that these abilities, the Dreltar Magic abilities, are not spellcasting. They are a natural thing that they do, so it's actually not right to call it Dreltar Magic as an ability. So they are not magic. They do not cast the spell in the same way as a spellcaster would. But they get basically the benefits of that, which means they can fool people into thinking it's like, oh well, there's no way to ward against this. Like even a mind blank spell would be ineffective against an inquisitive Dreltar using this particular casting of detect thoughts, because it's mechanically a detect thoughts, but it's a natural ability that this creature has. Speaking of which, one other thing to mention about Dreltar is that they automatically fail any checks that rely on sight, obviously, though for the purposes of spellcasting, they may rely on their other senses to find a target rather than sight. So that is an enormous upside to Dreltar, is that they're an unusual race, probably very interesting to play because you have no way of seeing anything. But I think they're very, very powerful and quite fun, in my opinion. I want to play one at some point. It's weird that I haven't yet. Maybe it's just because I don't play enough D&D as a player. I instead run many games, and a Dreltar has shown up in the first ever campaign that I ran. Actually, there was a Dreltar who showed up in a similar capacity to what we're talking about with Sekahashis, which is that Dreltar are hired as spies or diplomats or like detectives. So they make fantastic detectives, or like additions to crime-solving groups, or surveyors of battlefields. They can go around and paint a really clear picture of what is going on. What do Dreltars do for physical activity? Not a huge amount. Dreltars are very cerebral, not very physically strong. As a rule, obviously, if you wanted to play a Dreltar barbarian, I think that would be amazing. It'd be so much fun. But yeah, Dreltar don't do a huge amount for physical activity because their psionics are so useful. And yeah, in terms of how long, they do not fly, and they reach mental adulthood by about 5, by about the age of 5, because again, they're very cerebral, though they mature physically at the same rate as humans and live about as long. So that is Dreltars. They probably live to around 80. Their bodies, catch up to where their brains are at, around 18, 20. And then they die like that. When I first conceived of Dreltars as a species, actually, there was a really like messed up idea I had in my head, which is a villain idea. I don't know whether to share it or not because I might use it one day. You know what? Strictly because I might use it one day, I won't tell you what the idea was, but it's really bad. It's really bad. The idea I had in my head that what they were doing. Right. Okay. So we've got Dreltar, spies / detectives / diplomats. who use their unusual senses to make themselves indispensable. Do their brains evolve when they are 188? They don't live to be 188. They live to be around. Do their brains evolve? No, they. Oh, when they are 18, probably is what you meant to write. No, their brains are done developing when they're around 5 years old. I think their heads probably have to finish developing around that time as well. The rest of their bodies just need to catch up. But yeah, the share. Okay, well, okay. Here's the original. Fine, I will share. I will share. I have. It'll be. Peer. I'm feeling peer pressure, but I know that at least one of my players is watching, if not more, because we've seen Alberta, we've seen Poultice, we've seen Mike. So. And I intend to get you playing D&D with me as well at some point. I let that fall by the wayside a little bit recently, but that's still the intention. I have evil machinations, and it's one of those things that I can pull out of my butt and instantly get every player to hate my bad guys, and having that kind of narrative trick that you can pull out of your butt at any given moment is very valuable, and not to be. Yeah, I figured you meant 18 after. I did not mute myself. That's not what happened. Can you not hear me? Is that so? Oh, you can still hear me. Okay, yeah, fantastic. Yeah, the thing seems to be working out. You're down. Awesome. Is that it? That's all we get you for? Well, good luck in therapy. I hope it goes really, really well, and we'll see. We'll see each other very soon, indeed, my friend. Sounds good. Now, next time, Owen. Take care. Fantastic. Okay. So we've got Dreltar coming out of this place. Let's have a look at our races, and we can. Pardon me. I don't know, because most of these are going to be like mercenary folks, right? I feel like any of these races could be, could feel very mercenary. I think Avon would probably loan themselves out to, let's like Avon. I know this is the definition of mercenary, but like specifically for battlefields or for like training magical recruits, something like that, like the Avon mercenaries / tutors probably would be what their thing is. Mercenary tutors, they loan their firepower to any cause that pays well enough. And for an extraordinary, I see indeed, they will even teach guerrilla warfare and magic casting to the armies that hire them. So that they are in demand. I think everybody here is like in demand. And who wouldn't want to? I think that there is a like monster trapping business. So like monster trappers, slash poachers, and their whole deal, like there are extraordinarily dangerous monsters. There are extraordinarily dangerous monsters on this planet, which can be taken off world and sold to kingdoms as exotic fighting beasts. In gladiatorial arenas, or used in war, or as guard animals, or vaults, etc. The monster trappers and poachers, I feel like we gotta figure out who these guys would be. Maybe the lizard folk, maybe the scorpions can like stun other animals. Flipping it around and having it be Loxodon as well would be really interesting, because obviously elephants are and have been the target of poachers for so long, that a little swap around would be kind of interesting, I think. So I think on Night side, well, these are teams that are going to be like able to get off world and come back. And I don't think natives of this planet are going to take kindly to outsiders. I think they're going to be like brutal in their business to the point of driving away competition. They're going to be two. There are going to be two factions who do this. Factions. Posters. We're going to have Loxodon, Lizard Folk, and Naga. And then we're going to have a second group, which is going to be entirely like made up of people from off-world, who do the exact same thing and maybe sell to the Tahiri Empire as well. And who is cutthroat and mercenary enough to do that? I think it's just like let's like make it a corporation. Let's add a little bit of cyberpunk into this. And when we're adding corporations, like I want to call it, like name it after a person. So fun thing, we Star Wars name generator, human names, Star Wars fantasy name generator, Star Wars The Old Republic, human names. Let's give that an all go. Ooh, get female names. Let's name it after a woman. This is not what I found before, and I don't like it. Star Wars name generator Donjon. Ooh. Oh, this is interesting. I don't know what Mon Calamari is, but let's give that a go. Pacman Corp. Like right at the very top. How fortuitous is that? I like that. Pacman Corp. And Pacman, what race is Pacman gonna be? I feel like it should be something weird, you know? Like, I mean, we've got Dreltar, Ogrelon, Grishal, Tig, they have their own faction, that doesn't make sense. Aragiri, so not one of those. But something else sort of out there. Oh, pardon me. Pacman. I like the idea of it being something like Fae. Like, maybe a satyr. A satyr? Satyr. That's how you say that. There's so many different ways of saying that word. I always have a hard time just, like, picking one, you know? Satyrs have a well-earned reputation for their good spirits, gregarious personalities, and love of revels. Most satyrs are driven by two people to see the world and to sample its every pleasure. So, so kind of like hedonist. Spontaneity and whimsy sometimes puts them at odds with more stoic peoples. Satyrs rarely let the moodiness of others hinder their own happiness. I'm thinking like a full, original Dionysian satyr. Pacman is what I'm thinking. So, like somebody with extraordinary charisma who runs this this corporation just kind of for fun. That's interesting. And age at about the same rate as humans. I think this is a more Fae person. We don't know where Pacman is from yet, but there are ideas that I have percolating in terms of planets that have like a very much like a Fae element. Also, the Feywild could actually exist on one of these worlds, because at the moment what we're doing is we're world building the planets very much without the D&D cosmology in mind. We're building worlds that kind of like work on their own and have their own heaven and hells kind of thing. But the idea being that, like, you know, that there's another dimension layered on top and it bleeds through and it's the Feywild and it's here. Like, that's an idea. It's definitely not going to be on Sekahashis, but, well, it could be a little bit. That's something to think about. Pacman Corp, a satyr from the Feywild, to be decided which planet. Pacman has a reputation as a charming hedonist with a penchant and enthusiasm for business that her fellows often lack. Pacman can be Pacman Corp is ruthless and known for hostile takeovers and sabotage of their business rivals. They compete. Well, yeah, let's give these guys a name. Monster trappers and poachers. Let's give a name to at least one faction there. My brain is being a little bit slow at the moment, so forgive me for that. Hmm. The bestiary something. Let's have a little look. Hunters. Dreltar Magic. Shikari. It's an Indian word, shikar. It's interesting. Nimrod. Literary, huh? Skillful hunter. We could just do an inverse. The Dorman League? Let's call it the Dorman League. Why not? They are the only rivals with enough luck and resolve to compete with the woman league. Pacman Corp. So that's kind of fun. Let's have another drink of the good old water. And take a little look at mythology here. In the beginning, that's as far as I got during the last stream. In the beginning, I want to have a key story. There are key stories about gods and hunters and betrayal and all of that exists in the Asmarans. There's sort of like an origin story for why the world is the way it is. And I think Um, I think we have to do Titans. In the beginning, there were 3 Titans. One of fire, one of ice, and the third of wind. And the Great Mother creation figure and a voice boomed. They worship the sun, would they know? And a voice boomed from chaos, from whence they were born. It said to them, that they were to create day and night, and bring both in equal measure across the world. But the Titans of... At first they obeyed, because of course they have to go at first, but as they grew to know themselves, the brothers learned that they learned hatred and directed it amongst themselves. The Titans of fire and ice stopped their journeying around the world and instead fought, and where they struck the other, the earth rumbled and split, creating the caverns, which now exist on Nightside. Similar caverns existed once on Dayside, but have since filled in with sand. The third brother of wind, however, remembered his duty and separated the others, chasing the Titan of ice around the world with the Titan of fire struggling to keep, not struggling to keep up, to, Titan of fire always pursuing from behind. Thus, day and night were born. Thus, day and night were born. But one day, the weary Titans of ice and fire worked together to kill their tormentor, and then promptly went to opposite sides of the world, and then promptly died of exhaustion. It is from the body of the Titan of Fire that all the beings of Dayside were born, and from the body of the Titan of Ice that all the creatures of Nightside were born. This will be a bit where they say, oh, and his eyeballs became these people, and his little toe became the Dreltar, and stuff like that. It is said that the worms which now dominate Sekahashis were originally parasites living in the Titans' bellies. The Titan of Wind bled, and when his blood was drained, there was the ring of life between day and night. So, we've got an in the beginning moment, and then we've got the story of the Asmeran god Konkor, who came to this world. And that is relatively recent history. We know it happened. it is real, but it has like a legendary status, this story. Badoopadoopadoo, Concor comes to live on Sekahashis, giving up his godhood in the year 1300 EE, which makes it exactly 2,000 years ago. So 2,000 years ago, so kind of like us talking about Romans and Jesus. 2,000 years ago, the Esmeran god Concor came to live on Sekahahis. He longed once more to experience a challenge, for he had grown so potent that none could do him even the slightest harm. And he at the encouragement of the evil sorcerer Maliam, drained himself of his godly power and poured his god blood into the body of a dead vulture who promptly came to life and flew once around the world. Then he lived as a native of Sekahashis and was the greatest warrior the people had ever known, respected by all the races of Nightside. And legendary even in the remotest regions of the Underdark. He died plucking a scorpion from the hand of one of his 3 daughters. 3 daughters! His story shows us that nature exists in all her brutality for a reason. Those who live too long or too long in comfort do not truly nice. Just checking the music. Ooh, yeah, right at the end. Oh, that's lovely. Journey, this is the soundtrack to Journey, by the way. This is one of my absolute favorite games ever. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. I highly recommend that y'all play it. It's 2 hours long. You can get it on PS3 and PS4. And it's wonderful. You go on a hero's journey, and it's non-verbal, and you can help other people out, and you make little noises, and you get a cape, and you can float for a bit, and it's wonderful. That's it. It's the whole thing. I'm going to tune that out and down and throw on a little bit of Divinity Original Sin too. Okay. Experience life and are disconnected. That's loud. There we go. Nice. Great. That was, yeah, that was loud. Their spirits are tainted and must be scrubbed clean by the vigors of survival. So that is, that's the story of Concord. His daughters had a bit of a legendary status as well. We know his daughters' names. They were the three sisters of peace. They became known as the Peacemaker, Sola, the Peacekeeper, Aina. I think it was Pama, Aina. The listener. Sola. Is there a way for me to double check that without? Yeah, I think I can. Writing. Storykeeper. Thank you, Alberta. I appreciate that. Peacemaker Pama, Peacekeeper Aina, and the listener Sola. I did get it right. Ha! Ha ha ha! Thank you, Steel Trap of a Brain! I appreciated that. Peacekeeper. And the listener, Sola. They inherited their father's bow and godly powers. I beat you to it. Yeah, well, it does help that I do have all these things like on hand, and I did organize everything recently. So I also may have looked these up. That's what it is. I knew I had written something in my notebook for this stream, and I didn't actually get it up. Yes, I wrote them down for this a week ago. Oops. That's amazing. It's right here, and they're all written down, and that's why I remembered them, because I'd written them down recently. Fantastic. They inherited their father's bow and godly powers, and for a time attempted to ameliorate life on Sekahashis. They are the reason there are so many rivers and coves. I know that there's a better word for what I'm looking for, but you get the idea. That branch out from the ring of life, making it more possible to reach for those living further into the desert/tundra. Eventually, they negotiated the peace that ended the God War and gave up their godhood. Their story is seen as another example of the utility of generosity, but also the power that such a generosity / empathy / understanding, more of a cautionary tale than anything. Like, don't be like these people, because what they didn't work very well, and they ended up losing all their power and dying. But the power that such actions and emotions have. Very much how we're like, you know, the power of anger is very, very, very strong, and the power of greed and jealousy are very, very strong, and we should be careful of them. They're like, yeah, beware empathy, like beware, you know, listening to other people's opinions and putting their needs before your own, because nothing good comes out of that. It's a trap that you can fall into if you have the power to do things for other people, but ultimately don't do it. So that's their opinion. And so there we have a little bit of mythology, like 3 key stories for the people who live on this world. And I wanted that idea of the Titans do not have a humanoid form. The Titans very much have that feeling of being like monstrous, like enormous, monstrous, powerful primordial beings. So that's the idea anyway. Back to factions. This idea that I had the other day, which was so much fun. Was another faction. This is a druidic group. Druidic, let's call them an enclave, because I like enclave as a word. Their whole enclave, yeah, enclave, that's fair. Their whole deal is that they are practitioners of nature magic, but do not revere or quote-unquote love nature. Rather, they see it for the brutal proving ground that it is. And attempt to control / channel. Why did I give control 2 L's? That's a good question. It towards their enemies. And who would the Druidic enclaves consist of, I wonder, of the sort of like peoples that we have? I definitely want there to be like an Underdarkness, or a Nightside-ness to these guys, and I think they're the Nagas. I think the Nagas are really the druids, and then you've got like druids of like a lizard folk, and druids amongst the maybe the Tabaxi, maybe Loxodons have them as well, but definitely, yeah. Let's say Nagas. Let's say Nagas and Loxodons and Tabaxi. Nagas, Loxodons, Tabaxi. Loxodonta. I wonder what that word is. So Druidic enclaves, because there'll be multiple groups, but that's just kind of like to give more of an idea about that. And golly gee whiz, the time really does fly when I'm doing these things. It's been an hour and 12 minutes since well, an hour 10 minutes since I began, because I started a couple minutes late. Wow, how crazy is that? How crazy is that? So we've got our concepts and conflicts, we've got our mythology, we've got our races, we've got our regions, we've got our monsters, we got our factions. I think we need to do some nations or tribes or clans. I think we gotta do it, and I think the way to do that is to go to the map and put some dots on the map. That's what we gotta do. That's what we gotta do. That's what we gotta do. How does that look? Ooh, I like the way that looks for the future. Ooh. Sexy. Yeah, we're just gonna do that for everything, I think. Size. Ooh. Oh, look how cool that looks! Look at how cool that looks. Look at it. Boom, Sekahashis. Oh, I'm in love. I don't know what to do with myself because I like that so much. Oh, that gives it kind of like a like the sun. Oh, that's nice. Oh, we're figuring everything out now. This is cool. Ooh. Oh, guys. I'm having too much fun. Do. We should probably get rid of this one, and 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 this one. Oops, undo that. Okay, how do I select the thing underneath it? There we go, and boop. And blink. Okay, so now that I've just played with that and have learned that that is a thing, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. The S is a little bit off of the thing though, so I'm gonna just fix that super quick. Thank you. Let's get some dots. Let's get some dots. Boom, that's way too big. I want a little dot. Boop. Boop. Yeah, let's do one of these little dots. Let's make it smaller. These are going to be, you know what? Let's make them triangles because that way they can be like, these are tribes or cities. They're going to be nations and things as well. But let's get real specific. It can't be too close to the Ring of Life because that's death. But like a fair distance, like a settlement right about there on the edge of the deep desert, but still in the shallow desert and close enough to the Ring of Life to make a settlement. Let's put one there for the same kind of reasons. Let's put one there. I think we gotta have a settlement like in the deep desert. I think that's gotta happen. I think it just does. And then I think, yeah, we'll have another one. On sort of the other side of that, so it'll be like there. We'll have another one like there. So sort of around there, we're gonna have quite a number of things actually going on the surface here. Boop, but the same kind of idea. Do. And they're almost parallel to each other, and that's not a mistake. It's an idea. And then underground should be represented, I think, by a dark triangle in the Underdark. And we're gonna make a couple of little things like that. So now we've got a bunch of dots. We've got a bunch of dots. And we can put probably another one right there, right? And now we can sort of go like, okay, so these are the tribes. These are the factions, the nations that exist on this world. And if we kind of assume that, let's start with races that I don't think would work very well with others, and I think they would be bifurcated a lot of the time. Not, well, they separate from each other a lot of the time. I think lizard folk. Who are the people who would live like in the deep desert? Tabaxi, probably. Yeah. Cool. Let's start to pencil stuff in. So let's go text boop, but we're going to call this Tabaxi. And we're going to make it smaller. Clans. These are clans. Tabaxi clan. And maybe there are many clans that exist. So maybe this is more of a territory thing rather than like an icon thing. Is there... Add paths or routes. I don't want to add paths. I do want to add like borders. Incarnate add borders. Oops, add borders. How do you make political borders? Or slash incarnate. Oh, good. Little look-see. You can set the path tool to a solid line to use a different color. Change the road something. That is a nice looking map, to be fair. This looks really good. We are doing something a little bit different. But yeah, let's do the path tool. Ooh, it's pro only. We can't use the path tool. Paintbrush. Texture black. Ooh, undo that. But I like the idea. I want the softness to be a 0. I want the size to be much lower. Bonk. Good. 1. Good, 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 good. And let's say brush options are used. Oh man, that just looks so ugly. It looks so ugly, I can't stand it. Boy. Okay. Gotta undo it. Shape, maybe. No, I don't like that either. Well, that's fun, but I think it's a little silly. Shape and ellipse. Bonk. We are going to... Oh, okay. Undo. We don't want that. Interesting. Why are there now black lines on the map? I don't know. Well, that's something. Good to know. That's not something I've got. I've got to get Incarnate, I think, if I'm going to be doing this. Hello, Courier's Agency, and welcome back. Yes, I did get lost. I was just just doing the thing. You've been making characters. That is amazing. Welcome back. I hope you're well. Good to have you back. Lovely to have you back in the space. Doing stuff. What kind of characters have you been making? I would love to hear about that. And if you have any ideas for this kind of thing. Yeah, I did. I did just notice you. My apologies there. I've got you on a different screen, so I just went. I was going hard over here. Let's Tabaxi clans. Let's say. Yeah, let's say. There are the Tabaxi clans, and they are very separate from one another, and will probably, have competition. But Tabaxi are not, Tabaxi are not that bad. And they will make the, the journey from the deeper desert, in. But I think the deep desert belongs to the Tabaxi clans. I think we can safely say that. But the Tabaxi clans are the ones that live in the deeper desert. What other? I think lizard folk would probably be the ones who would be next. Nations, tribes, clans. So we've got the Tabaxi clans. This is all 11 sized font. Let's make it a little bigger. An assortment of small clans / families who can only be called a nation very loosely as a collective. You made 2 for my campaign because you found it cool. That's very flattering indeed. Thank you very much, Courier's Agency. That's really cool. Thank you. I'd love to hear about them, as and when you can type. That sounds awesome. Backseat clans. I want the lizard folk. Lizard folk to have like a nation, nation of something. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what? Google Translate. Let's find out what nation is Natsia. Nasia. What is tooth? What cracked tooth? What happens? Nation of Sagante. The nation of Slovak. Zub. Kurdish. Derane Seketsi. Seketsi. Dira. Seket. See. A desert and a coast druid. Oh, one for each of the. That's so cool. Yes. Before you came in, I was just talking about a faction of druids on this world, whose, like, the whole idea in my head is that they are practitioners of nature magic, but they do not revere or love nature like druids on most worlds do. Rather, they see it for the brutal proving ground that it is and attempt to control or channel it towards their enemies. And so, like, druids from Sekahashis will see druids from other planets, like, who are like, nature, love the nature, destroy civilization. They're like, what is wrong with you? You're like, you guys are mad and need, like, and need to get your heads examined immediately. You know, nature is brutal, and we should all be, our goal should be to get to civilization and to destroy nature almost, or you know, and then there's very much sort of the idea inherent on world as well that, like, death is part of the survival, you know, process, and that has a sacred place as well. The coast being someone living out in the extremely dangerous ring of life. Ooh, as being in, you know, the desert. That makes a huge amount of sense. Coast. Yeah, a coast druid who's kind of like surviving sort of near the water. That's a great idea. It's a really, really cool idea. And then, like, deep desert. Yeah, so we were talking about that. The Tabaxi are sort of like further out in the desert because they can make it to the Ring of Life and back out into that territory and would know how to survive out there. And then and then our nations, lizard folk nations, and then we're figuring that out. That was Kurdish, super interesting. What's Luxembourgish? Ooh, geknacht. Zanofdrekt. Zanodrekt. I like, it's not even, it's just drek, but I like geknacht. I feel like that works for lizard folk, that kind of like sound. Vietnamese. Rang Binut. That's probably not how you pronounce that at all. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing stuff. El que Kekilielo. Curious Agency is just written. Oh, I also made an extremely important character. Mikal Jackdaughter, the Earth Genasi bard made out of moon rock. And their Earthwalk ability is now Moonwalk. What? Michael Jackdaughter, the bard who moonwalks. Oh, that is so funny. That is so good. Thank you so much for putting that in. It's so good. And all of the verbal components are Michael Jackson lyrics and noises. You have to play this character at some point. The world needs Michael Jack daughter. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Oh, I love that. Okay. Let's make a nation name for the lizard folk. Um. Oh. Siket Nacht. Healing. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? It's just like over multiple rounds doing the bit of doing the lyrics. Smooth Criminal. That's amazing. Laura Bailey. No, maybe it wasn't Laura Bailey, but in Critical Role in a recent-ish episode, they did do an "Annie, are you okay?" reference, and it was great. Okay. That makes me so happy. So Siket Nacht, I think, is going to be Lizardfolk Nation of Siket Nacht. Formerly a loose collection of tribes, much like the Tabaxi, but in recent history, with the emigration of so many Sekahashians off-world, they have greatly expanded their territory and now have a king! Monarch. Let's not commit to a gender just yet. They've got a monarch, a lizard folk name. Ooh, so we've got Sikat Nacht. I like a Gick. Or a Gek. Ooh, Gek. Son of Drek. Ganoff Drek is going to be the Ganoff Drek. I think it is yeah, it is going to be a guy. Their king, Ganoff Drek, is an enormous lizard folk. Who rides an armored hippo into battle. So, Ganoff Drek is also going to, we're going to copy him, and he's going to be another one of the characters that we've got here. Boom. Cast mirror image. I'm talking to the man in the mirror. Oh, you just had the best idea. I can't wait for this. This is going to be so good. Oh, Lord. Okay. Let's make this. This is. Boop. Siket Nacht. this territory is, yeah, is Siket Nacht. So that's some lizard folk territory, and it will have like multiple sort of cities stuff. But I think on day side, I do tend to focus more on day side, just for some reason. I think a lot of Avon and Loxodon and GIF are gone. I think a lot of them are gone. And gone to the point where I don't know if there are any GIF left. Maybe a few, maybe some stragglers. But we'll make Loxodon, we'll make Avons, and then we'll make humans. And we're going to have a human nation. Human / multicultural nation. Because there's going to be bleed over anyway, but I feel like the human nation is much more primed and prepped because they're going to be the ones with a spaceport, right? They're going to be the place where everybody else came to get off-world, which is a huge, business opportunity. So I think that humans on day and Nightside would have a huge amount of prestige, but this one we're cutting. And the reason is I want a circle. I want my circle. I want there to be a human city. And we're gonna call it a city nation of... Ooh, we'll come to that in a second. Cleric casts Spare the Dying on Mickle Jackdaughter, and Thriller starts playing. Because of course it does. Of course it does. Spare the Dying or Raise Dead or Revivify. You know, anything that like saves somebody's life if they are close to death would be fantastic to get Thriller. Amazing, just amazing. City of... Let's do something fun. Let's find the name of... Let's do the name of a city somewhere that is in the desert. Cities in the desert. Las Vegas, Tuscan, Lancaster, Hesperia. So these are all different kinds of cities here. Riyadh. Hesperia. Okay, so let's start with a Hesperia, and let's make it fantasy. Well, it already sounds like a fantasy name, but let's switch it up a little bit. So Hesperia. They could have named it after Concord. That's an idea. They named it after Concord. Yeah. Dion. So I think their word for God would be Tuhast, and Tuhast Concord. Or would they care about Concord? They probably would name it not after Concord, but about maybe after one of the daughters. Tuhast Palma. Districts named after the daughters. It would be named after the father. Let's call it that. Tuhast Concord. So we go back to our map. We go back to our text. We're gonna call it Tuhast Concord. Much like San Francisco is like Saint Francisco. Tuhast Concord is named after the god Concord. So now we have Tuhast Concord, which we can also put into 2 cities. Tuhast Concord. 3 major districts at its core are named after his daughters. Palma District, Aina District, and Sola District. This is where one of the pardon me, space ports on the planet exists, creating an enormous avenue for wealth. Boop. Here we go. There's so many ideas for Michael Jackdaughter. Michael Jackdaughter starts scrying, and somebody's watching me starts playing. But cinematically, what you do is you cut to the person that's being scried on, right? And it's just their perspective, and they don't see the scrying sensor or anything, and then the music starts playing. That's exactly what happened. And then Mikkel casts Mislead, and all you hear is, I'm a smooth criminal. Or even like glibness. Not glibness. Not the spell I'm thinking of. Ignore me. There's a spell, Gift of the Gab, I think is what it's called. I could be wrong. You say something like, I'm a smooth criminal, and then you make the person ignore that you said that. That's an idea. That's very, very funny. Du hast Concord. Oh, why did we just skip right past it? That's why. Boo boo boo. Obviously, one of the major powerhouses on the planet now that trade with the Assembly and the Tahiri Empire has been opened. Corporate interest in the planet is the strongest from all world. So we've got Tuhast Concord, we've got Siket Nacht, and we've got the Tabaxi clans. Which, you know what? Let's make a name for them. Assemble. The Burkampool. Or in Icelandic, the Setu Saman. Oh, I like these. Or... What about Hebrew? I can't read Hebrew characters. That's a shame. What about Yiddish? Assemble. What about... Come here. Bramul. Bramul. Yeah, Bramul. I like that. Cool. So we could have the... The Brakumu. Brakumu Saman. So collectively, the name for the Tabakti clans is the Brakumu Saman. So that's kind of fun. The only other character I made is based off of a D&D meme, but it's amazing. Well, D&D memes are amazing. I do follow the D&D memes Twitter page because they have so many just absolutely fantastic memes that they put on there. Yeah, which meme is it based off? First off, what's the character? Second off, which is the meme that it's based off of? You gotta tell. Sekahashis. And I feel like there should be a sort of like a remnant of Loxodon civilization, like maybe here, so we can remnant Loxodon. And for Loxodons, let's go Hindi. Assemble. Ikatha. Ikatha. I like that a lot. Ikatha. Assemble. Family. Parivar. Alone. Remain. Rahana. Rahatha is what we're going to go with. The nation of Loxodons, which has greatly diminished over the last 250 years. Now, the citizens who remain find it harder and harder to resist the pull off-world. Rahatha. Pohast Concord. Great, and then we can move over to Nightside. Nightside, Nightside, Nightside. Ooh, here we go. The character from the Courier's Agency is a dungeon. Now, I know that sounds weird, but it's a character who, inside of him, is an infinite space of dungeons. So, like, an infinite, like, maze spell kind of exists inside of them. Sort of like a labyrinth with a human body on the outside. Like, is it a dimension that exists inside of his body? Or their body, rather? Yeah, it just, like, exists. I love the idea of somebody with, like, a maze spell just, like, permanently inside of them. That is such a cool idea. Thank you so much for sharing. Tell me more! How does this work? Like, how were they brought to life, I guess, is the question that I have next. Is, like, how was this infinite dungeon given a human form or a sentient form? And why are they walking around? Like, what's their deal? Tell me about them. That's awesome. Now, I think that there's a Goliath rival nations of... Rival nations? Are they rivals? Yeah, there's bad blood between them. We're going to call them rival nations. And the idea I had for this is that this would be one Aragiri nation, and this would be another one. And they'd be right on top, and in the night, and in the dark. And we can call one of them Prahagul. And Tathagul. Oops. We did it wrong, boys and girls. Rahagul. Gals and pals, non-binary pal. Gals, how does it go? Guys and gals and non-binary pals, something like that. Okay, so, Cruise Agency. The God of Trickery challenged the God of Intellect to a battle of making the most complex being alive. The idea of a God of Trickery and a God of Intellect existing within a pantheon is awesome. I adore that idea, and the fact that they would challenge it. This sounds like this is the stuff of myth. This is the stuff that, like, legends are made of. What a fantastic idea! Thank you so much for sharing. That's incredible. That's an incredible idea. Yeah, fantastic. Rahagul and Gahul. Each boasts significant military might, but have done no more than skirmish since their separation. Or once they were one nation. So those are the Goliath rival nations of Ragul and Tathagul. So that's that taken care of. I want a Dreltar settlement and a Dampier. I think the Dampier would be like a collection of families and clans and stuff like that as well, right? Something like, yeah. So, what language did we use? Brakumu Saman. Gahakumu. Here, let's be cool. Gahakumu. Dampier. Gakumu Daman is going to be the collective name for the collection of clans that makes up a loose nation of Dampier. That's kind of fun. The god of intellect made the coremongers, says Courier's Agency. What in the world is a coremonger? Which in the campaign, the planet should have frozen by now from its core cooling, but instead the coremonger keeps it warmed. That's what a fantastic idea. The coremongers, or the coremonger singular, is a shape, mind you, that switches through the different dimensions so fast that it gives off heat. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. What a fantastic idea. Thank you so much for sharing that. Courier's Agency, you have an incredibly creative mind. That's absolutely fantastic. I'm over here, I'm being like, this is boring. I'm making mythology, and I'm making city names and faction names and stuff. And like doing the solid work that goes into world building, and you're here like, I have an idea for a creature that phases through dimensions so fast that it warms the planet's core. Like, that's such a wild, fantastic idea. No, it's fantastic. And of course, the God of Trickery made your character. Fantastic. So yeah, so you've got, okay, the God of Intellect created a dimension phasing, planet warming coremonger, and and then the God of Trickery made your character, who is a living infinite labyrinth. What a competition. Tell me who won based off of those things that were made. The God of Trickery and the God of Intellect. Who was the judge of who was the winner and the loser? Who oversaw this bet? And what did they pronounce? I have to know. I have to know. If there was anybody, they might have just like just said amongst themselves. Who was the winner? Like, it being been able to admit, like good normal people. We did actually come up with some stuff for satyrs. We don't care about satyrs right now. Did come up with some stuff for. Oh Lord, come to me, my brain. For Dreltar on a different world that I made called Vulpikar, which shows up on the Hidden Realms channel and the God Heist and future stuff. Let's grab. I'm just gonna have a quick peek at what I call them. So yes, they had sort of like a Greek naming system. That's kind of interesting. That's kind of fun. Now, these guys did come from a different planet, to be fair. But Kalipke Fazakan Akrylos. You know what we're gonna do? Let's Polis Theros. Police. Description. Cloth. Ooh, Clothis. Clothis is a great Spun from the hair of the ancient god Clothis. This is good. Temples, Nistos, Forest, Despair Lands. Despair Lands? Why don't I just want to read about that for a second? Despair Lands on the peninsula south of Western with the Despair Lands leeches life from the surrounding areas. Nice. The bleak mire of Hitos. The prophecies of Asphodel. Where the Grey Merchant is from. Guys, did you know Gary? You know Gary from Asphodel? That's where he's from. What a fantastic thing. Let's write down Asphodel. And then we can create sort of a Greek-sounding name for this city that we wanna throw in there, but we're gonna call it something else. Clothol. Clothol. Clophos. Clophos. Clothel. Clothel. City of Clothello. City of Clothel. Clothelli. 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 Clothel. Here's your Clothodel. Clothodel. Welcome to Cloth. Welcome to Clotho. Yeah, let's say Clotho. 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 Subterranean city of the Drell. Why can I never spell terranean? That's a good question. Subterranean. Dreltar on Sekahashis. Because they are city-states, the cities and nations bit is maybe cities isn't needed. Pardon me. We're gonna leave it for now. We're gonna leave it and maybe use it for, like, for example, Siket Nacht has like 3 settlements in it. So that could have a section for cities on it. So we've got Tithagul, Clotho, Gamuku Daman, Rahagul, and then we've got some other races to think about. We've got Nagas. We've got... Oh, come on. What else have we got on Nightside? Oh, it's just Nagas and humans. So that's an idea. Nagas and humans. Just seeing that the divinity thing's going on. It's okay. Courier's agency. Made my character who's just a commoner with an infinite dungeon inside of him. Can he eat people and throw them into the dungeon? Is there a thing where he, like, force somebody to make a saving throw, or he swallows them and the maze spell happens to them? Oh, the God of Trickery won because he cheated. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. That's the way it should be. Well, the judge was a god of law. Myconids. Well, yeah. So the idea, Chris, as you see, of the Underdark is that it's not actually like that. It's far enough underground that it can be warm. It traps enough of the heat that the cold above does not reach there. So it's still very, very dark, Underdark, obviously, but also on the night side. But um, it's not icy. But there can definitely be there can and should and shall definitely be myconids that live down there. Um, you're completely correct, and we're gonna put myconids, which I don't believe are a playable race, uh, in D&D 5e, but I do want to have a little bit of look on them. Myconids are intelligent fungi who seek enlightenment and deplore violence. Ooh. The myconids have special spores called rapport spores, which used to communicate telepathically, which is where the druid of spores comes from. Fantastic. Fantastic. Fungus ones, fungus folk. Oh boy. Make their homes in the darker corners of the world. Interesting. Yeah, that would be really interesting because like they would be so at odds with the rest of the world here. Uh yeah, myconids. I think that they're probably like not thought about really. Let's let's give them a thing. Let's give them their own little thing right over here. Um let's do the Google Translate thing that I'm so fond of doing. Google Translate. Boop boop. Mushroom. Grib. We're calling it grib. That's literally what it is in Russian. I like it so much that we're just calling it that. It's just grib. And they got a home called grib. I think that another Myconids, they talk like this. Myconids want to be peaceful, don't want to be hurting nobody. Gonna live in grib. that's the voice of the Myconids from this world. That is where they live. It's totally fantastic. We all know Myconids. We're gonna be no Myconids. We're gonna die like this. Anyway, yeah. We're gonna talk real fast. I don't know what I'm gonna say before I say it. Take a long time to decide what I'm going to say before I say it, because when I talk so wait too fast. Which is kind of an odds where there's one guy. Homebrew moment. I have a circle of spores druid who's also a plasmoid. Well, that's cool. That's just a straight up cool idea. That never occurred to me to do a plasmoid as a druid. That's whoa. Allegriba. That's amazing. Oh, get in the Aladdin references. That's amazing. I'm gonna do Grib. Hell yeah, Grib, home of the peaceful Myconids on Sekahashis. Are they all auctioneers? That's what? Why would they be auctioneers? It's an interesting just idea. It's just like an interesting thing to have said. I don't know. I don't know what the incentive would be to be auctioneers. What would they be auctioning? It's not a very capitalist world. It's more about survival. So the fact that they're like abhorring violence is sort of like a weird take on this. Gribucky fried abyssal chicken. Well, abyssal chickens, of course, are natives of monstrous natives of Nightside. Obviously, we have abyssal chickens. These are like the main export of this planet because abyssal chickens are the most delicious chickens that exist anywhere in the world, and they're popular amongst the rich because eating them actually causes you to become more hungry when you eat them, because the meat, when it goes inside of you, actually like absorbs all of the food that you have already eaten, and it sort of like black holes that away. So abyssal chicken's really good for when you're rich and you just want to keep eating and having like really good food, and you get this this delicious abyssal chicken going in, and then all gone in your stomach. There you go. Oh, are they all auctioneers because I was talking so fast? That makes sense. I get it. No, it was just a funny voice. I literally just thought it was a funny voice, and I wanted to do it because I was like, Grib, Grib. This is kind of the voice that I feel like goes with Grib. Just to be able to say Grib, like a big old McRib, Grib. So they report spores you. They've got their spores in your brain. They're like, welcome to Grib. Please don't kill anybody here. We'll be gribbing. Big old Grib. Grib. Great. So let's actually select and get rid of one of these settlements. Let's get rid of this one. Oop, that's gone. We're going to move this one further down. And these two are going to be Naga territories, but I think they're going to be like very different. Naga and Aven, actually. Yeah, let's do an Aven territory and a Naga one. So let's do, this feels like there would be a lot of caves around here, so let's make that a Nagan territory one. Oops, not there. What is snake in Russian? Zmeya. What is it in other... What are other wintry lands? What are other wintry lands? Ukraine? Sure. It's still Zmeya. That makes sense. Norway? Slange? Snakes? Snake! It's a scary snake! It's a snake! Shalang? Makes sense. Dutch? Schlang? Sure. All of them are just so similar, it's very funny. Let's go opposite. Let's go Hawaiian. Nahesa. That makes... That sounds like a snake, to be fair. Uzbek. Ilan. Stajik. More. Ilan. I think Ilome. I think it's going to be the name. Ilome. And then we can go over here. And we do boop. Ilome. Of the Nagas. Of the Naga. And we gotta do one more. We gotta do one more for the Aven. So we want to do... What about flight? Parvaz. Parvaz. Korean. Behang. Spanish. Vuelo. I'm interested in what Portuguese might be. Oh, wait, Persian first. No, I can't read that. Polish. Lot. Fun. Portuguese. Vu. I like vu. We're taking it. We're taking it straight from Portuguese, because that's so much fun. Moo! Home of the Haven. I'm going to call them the hawk-headed Haven. We're going to go boo! Boo! And then I think that ibis-headed Haven don't have one home anymore in Dayside. I think probably... Pardon me. I'm a little sleepy today. I have done like a whole day of work before coming and doing this. It's sort of my wind down. So if I'm a little bit lower energy, that would be why today. Last week I had more energy because I was not working during the day. Okay, so to recap, we've got Brakun Saman, which is the Tabaxi clans. We've got Siket Nacht, which is the lizard folk sort of empire. We've got Tuhast Kankor, the big human spaceport settlement. We've got Ragul, which is the Loxodon remnants. We've got Ilome, which is the Nagas. We've got Vu, the hawk-headed Aven. We've got Gakumu Damon, the collection of Dampier. We've got Kolofo, the Dreltar and the Underdark. We've got Thagul and Ragul, which are the Goliath city nations. We've got Grib for the Myconids, and humans in the dark side, I think, would have left. I think they would have left dark side, Nightside, and come over to Duhast Kankor. That makes more sense. I think the humans settled on Dayside anyway. I don't think they went very much to Nightside, so that makes sense. And with that, we have sort of like a more populated world map. I know it's not a terribly interesting one to, like, not a very beautiful one to look at on its own, but the stories that can be told here, I'm very, very happy and excited with how this has turned out. So that's absolutely fantastic. I think we can actually create a current world state based off of all of this. But first, the Couriers Agency has put an incredible amount in here. Oh, because you're talking about the McGrib. Yeah, 100% the McGrib. They have huge parties where they shoot spores everywhere and bond their consciousnesses. I think that's a fantastic idea. And the reason for which is they can, like, literally feel everybody else's emotions and stuff, and it's like this big spiritual sort of like orgy-esque experience, like ecstatic experience. For, like, shoot your spores everywhere. That I get the dirty humor after I've already said the thing. I need Alberta in here to get this for me faster. Yeah, they melt consciousnesses, and yeah, it makes them be a bit more peaceful, which is weird for this world. That's kind of fun. And then, so make them all Southern Americans. We all know that Southern Americans are a hive mind. I don't think they are a hive mind. I don't. I think that's funny, but I don't think they are a hive mind. Southern Americans. Gee. Well, howdy there. Welcome to Grib, where we share our consciences and we all hold hands and get together and have a big party and spray our spores as far as we can, as far and wide and to as many people as we can. Free spores for and then we find love, free love. and spores for everyone. This is Grabe. Welcome to Grabe. So that's kind of fun. Greenland. Greenland. Just Greenland? Question mark. That's kind of cool. I need you to make a mushroom version of corn that the Myconids produce and mushroom ale. That's I think that you're right. I think that the Myconids do have like exports, for sure. Not necessarily exports, but they do have ale and corn. Yeah, 100%. Let's go and put that in there to make that solid. Myconids, they produce a fungi corn hybrid, as well as, wouldn't it just be like a kombucha? Like, wouldn't it just be like a fermented? So I guess you can have an alcoholic, mushroom, fungal ale. Best kombucha in the galaxy. That's so much fun. Are Dark Side and Light Side like Jersey and New York? 100%. There's actually no difference. Actually, what you'll have found is that these last two streams, I've spent more than that. I've spent 6-ish hours, and you'll see that this is actually just Jersey and New York. That's the whole joke. That's the bit. It was worth spending 6 hours on that bit. Well done. You figured it out. Lies. I live in Kansas. I drive 2 hours down, and it looks like an alien movie. Southern America is a hive mind. If you live in Kansas, you would know better than me whether or not the South in the States is a hive mind. So I will defer to you. I was wrong, and you are right. And Southern America is in fact a hive mind. Fantastic. But yeah, this is just Jersey and New York. That's the whole bit. Really. Best kombucha in the galaxy. I want to create some characters in this world. I feel like the current world state has already been sort of established. So I'm not going to do the typing of that now. I'll fill that in later. Nations, tribes, cities, characters. Ganothdrek. Star Wars, the Old Republic name generator. I know that at some point I came up with, like, there were actual, like, Star Wars, like, the video game Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars KOTOR. Why is this so difficult to find? Oh, that's what it was. I literally had the game installed and I went into Character Creator and they have like a set thing for names. That's what I did. Oh, that's why I can't find it. Makes sense. Well, these are not as good. More. I like Cataly. We're taking that. Cataly Rue. Yeah, we're gonna... You go to the south and ask... Curious Agency. You go to the south and ask them if they are Republican. All of them will say yes. Do you want to know why? Because they are all one consciousness. Boom, blew your mind. I don't agree with the Republican Party as a whole. I don't automatically have problems with people who vote in any direction. I would want to know their circumstances. I know that statistically, the more rural you live, like the more, the further from cities you live, small towns, farms, things like that, the more conservative, demographically, people tend to vote. So the South has like pockets of cities that vote Democratic, and then vast swathes of the country vote Republican, who are sort of out in the country more. That is my understanding of it. I'm by no means an expert, and I don't want to offend anybody. That's not my goal. If you're still voting Republican though, after Trump, I do have issue actually. You know what? I am going to offend you. Trump is a shitbag who put children in cages and deserves to go to jail for the rest of his natural life. So, and QAnon's conspiracy theorists, and it's not real. So maybe learn that. There, I've alienated my audience. Because it's safety in numbers, the Southerners can't get to you if you were all packed together. Or maybe you're more likely to encounter people with different ideas than your own in a city or something. I don't know exactly what the reason is that people in cities tend to vote more Democrat. but I know that like we are social and we want to fit in. When everyone around you votes a particular way, and your parents and your grandparents and your great grandparents have voted a particular way, it can be very hard to do anything else. So all of that, yeah, I think all of those things are factors. Yeah. I just love that idea of like everybody just like packed into a city, battening down the hatches, being like, no one can get us now. Yeah. Yeah, Republicans of the United States, I have a lot of understanding. I try to have a lot of understanding. I do wonder after Trump what's going on. That's my thing. Like with all of the human sympathy I can muster in my soul, in myself, what is happening there? Uh he was not he was not a good role model, and he was not a good man. And it doesn't take a genius to see that. I'm not trying to be condescending, but if I think I was condescending just then, but he's megalomaniacal and rude and evil. And a womanizer. So none of those things are good. I don't want to talk about Trump anymore. I don't like him. That's the point. It's a hive mind, like I said. You go ham on the hive mind, and you are the like again. I defer to you, so yes, it is a hive mind. Stragglers. Jesus Christ. Is it possible that we hit a nerve couriers agency? Oh, yeah. One of these days the Southerners will attack. Well, it's becoming harder and harder, right, to separate things in that way because of the internet, because people are so connected. Whereas before, with the Confederacy, it was very clear and very easy to draw those lines. Now you have so many people who are Democrats again, sort of more around cities mostly, but like so many the Democrats who like dividing lines by territory becomes so much harder because of the internet because people are exposed to more ideas that way. So I would be really curious to see if there was a war like that, like a second civil war. I don't think there will be, and the reason is that they have so much political power. Like they would make a move for the federal government, as they have done already, as they tried to take over the government on January 6th. Tried to kill everybody inside and declare totalitarian dictatorship in the U.S. That's what they were trying to do. Coming up on a year since then. Crazy that Trump's not in jail right now. Or is rolling that. And then you just like the ideas of Southerners being like a zombie apocalypse. Yeah, 100%. No, I totally get it. Like a hive mind zombies. That's something interesting. Hive mind zombies from the South just coming for you. Yeah, completely terrifying. I'm on board for that movie. I will be horrified and hide my eyes like a child, for sure. Holy crap. Where the hell were we? Star Wars code for names. Oh yes, Cataly Roo. Sorry, Cataly Roo. Who in the world is Cataly Roo? I like Cataly Roo as a character, and I think it's gonna be like a short, plump gif. A short, plump gif mercenary who is a spaceship captain. I know there shouldn't be a space in there. Spaceship captain and the terror of these stars. I just like the idea of somebody named Cataly Roo being the most terrifying hippopotamus, armor-plated, intelligent person. If you add hive mind zombies to your campaign, you need to have them be Southern. This isn't a choice. I will give them the accent. They will go, what's a Southern drawl? They'll go, brains. That guy saw brains over there. Brains. That's a terrible Southern accent. I can do, I could go really far. There we go. Get really down into that drawl. Down all the way down there. Brains. I will go for brains. And I know I saw through the other guy's eyes that he saw some brains. The Terror of the Stars is Tampa, Florida. Well, Florida's on. Florida is the whipping horse of the states. Do y'all want some brains? I love that. We're gonna go and get some brains. Do you want to come and get some brains? This is what the hive mind zombies say to each other. That's kind of fun. Cataly-Roo. Let's come up with a couple more. Viroke Luki. Or Lucky. Viroke Lucky. And Ibis-headed Haven, who serves as a dock master in, what did we call it? To Host Concord. The Dock Masters Guild is an order of powerful wizards who have edged out their human competition and created a stranglehold on legitimate travel from the Assembly and the Empire. This faction causes huge problems, and many are trying to depose them or break them up. But so far, their power, cunning, guile, and ruthlessness has kept them in power. So, I just like the idea of people with a seemingly innocuous job having an extraordinary amount of power, and the idea of, like, that everybody on this world is selfish and brutal and has learned the lessons from this world, which are you take everything you can and you take from everyone you can. That's a fun idea. Florida is where the Hive Mind Center is. Yeah, I believe the Elder Brain is in Florida. The Florida men are the patient zeros. Again, I believe it. I just believe you. Joke's on you guys, Florida men don't exist. They are made by Ooblex. To be fair, the Ooblex, in D&D is one of my favorite creatures that exists. And I've been thinking, like, Hive Mind, and I've been thinking, like, something like an Elder Ooblex fits pretty well with what you're talking about. It's one of my favorite monsters of all time, and I've only run it once. That's not true. I ran a little one. I ran a little baby one. So I've run it twice. But I want to run it in almost everything, basically. So much fun. So much fun, Oblexes. And so scary. So scary for your players. I enjoy it. Viroke Luki. Or Lucky. Calamia. Ooh, this is gonna be a Loxodon, I think. Calamia Pellis. We're going with Calamia Pellis, the leader of the remaining Loxodon in, and we came up with a name for it. Rahatha. Her brother is Lorne Pellis, the commissioner of the AAPD, which is the Anaran Assembly. Boop, boop, boop. Police. AAPD. Police Department. Did I mention that the Anaran Assembly has a police department? Because they do. I have a warlock, Great Old One, whose pact is to collect ooze. Like, alive, though. I worked it out with the DM. That's amazing. That's a great pact. It's like, I want you to collect all of the living oozes. No, that's fantastic, Courier's Agency. Thank you for sharing that. What a great idea. I'm always interested to hear about interesting warlock pacts, and because often people forget that like their patron like wants something specific besides their like soul or service. It's like, I mean, like, service for something specific sounds really cool. It's like, I will give you magic in exchange. I want you to collect living oozes and bring them to me. It's like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? Oh, that's funny. He is for progress and leaving the planet. She is for remaining and on world and remaining spiritually pure. And my pact also gives me immunity to acid damage thanks to a layer of slimy membrane that gives anyone near me disadvantage on perception checks because it's so gross and disgusting as a membrane. Oh, I hate that. That made my skin crawl just reading that. Just reading it and picturing it in my head made my skin crawl, Courier's Agency. That's brutally disgusting. I'm a huge fan of it. I think it's fantastic homebrew. I think your DM is fantastic for going along with this and letting this happen. But also, like, I hate it. I want you to understand that I don't like it. I don't want to be near it. I don't want to hear more about it. I don't want to be near your character. I love it as a concept. I think the execution's fantastic. It just grosses me out. And no, he doesn't want them brought to him. He just wants them to be kept as pets. Aww. Got your little slimes and oozes. Little petses. Keep a little baby Oblex. Keep a little baby gelatinous cube. That's so sweet. That's so funny. Yeah, you just cut a gelatinous cube with slashing damage over and over and over again. Oh yeah, yeah, the flesh pits of the Urukai when they're being born in the pits, in Isengard. That is disgusting. Yeah, that's a really good it's a really good image actually. Thank you, Alberta. All right, let's get some men. Hark, Killride is too good a name not to do. Hark Killride is a human survivalist, born native to the planet, who sometimes takes on jobs for poachers and what did we say their name was, and Pacman Corp to help them capture dangerous animals. He has his own, we're gonna call it a baby. And what's one of these monsters that we created that would be fun to have as a baby? He's got a baby. Why doesn't he have a vulture, actually? Why doesn't he have a pet vulture? That's vulture. Which is symbolic of his ancestry to Concor himself. Hark Hillride is a pseudonym, a false name to hide his true identity. I'm tired. I'm tired, and I'm trying to come up with names, and there's nothing that begins with a K. There's nothing that begins with a K. Beep. Nothing that begins with a K. Cabcore? Concor? I like Kabir. Kabir Esmer. Descendant of Concor. Daughter Aina, and rightful heir to the warden's throne in Tuhast Concord. This guy is just Strider. He's exactly the same as Strider, except his like alternate personality, his sort of cover is that he's like a ranger and like a Han Solo type, like a bumbling like idiot with you know, too much charisma and not enough morals. And that's who he is. Yeah, I think their family was overthrown by someone else. Yeah, there's definitely another family. Oh, I've missed so much. The only thing that he can feel, says the courier's agency, beside his disgusting, viscous, rough, slimy ooze around him as he moves, is the oozes he collects. The worst thing is that his hands are slippery 24/7, so I make a grapple check. And I'm like, all you hear is a slide whistle as I fall. But I have immunity, so I get to ride around on a gelatinous cube. That's the trade-off. I receive weird disadvantages in the ability to sleep in a gelatinous cube. My patron receives me having pet oobs. Pet ooze. And I can't even speak. It's so good. It's so delightful. That's the ultimate waterbed. Absolutely. What are you thinking? If it all goes wrong, he can pull the cart at a 15-foot movement speed. Thank you, Alberta, for asking the real questions. Oh, oh, it hurts. Oh, save me. Oh, Lord. Oh. Ooh. Fine. Okay. Hey. I'm gonna go back to making characters now. Okay, let's go away from Star Wars names. Let's just go. Let's go back. Yeah, let's go back to Google Translate and let's get Betrayer. Predatel. A little on the nose. Svikar. Let's go Svikar. Svikar. Well, let's get a little bit something else in there. Vial touched. House Fialkar. Have taken over ruling the city. An ambitious family of humans. An ambition family of humans. An ambitious family of humans who are power hungry and do not agree with the philosophies of the three sisters of peace. That's the name is what I want to give him. He's unofficially called Butterfingers. Courier's Agency, please keep coming onto the stream. This is so much fun. This is Michael Jack's daughter and now Butterfingers. You got some of the most fantastic characters I've ever seen. I've got friends who make really good characters, and you are right up there with them, if not surpassing them and putting them to shame. That's incredible. It's just incredible. Love it. I need a first name for a man. We're gonna call it a man. Ibrian. Ibrian Fielkar. Ibrian Fielkar. Ibrian is the head of the family and not a man to be crossed. Secretly, he is doing business with... let's have him do business with Viroke. With Viroke Lucky, helping keep him in power as Dockmaster in exchange for a cut of his profits. Officially, his name is Rain Guffcrow. Rain Guffcrow. What a great name. Well-known clergy family. Great old warlock covered in weird viscous sticky slime that smells awful. Stop describing the character. It's too good. The description is too good. It makes me feel too viscerally what the character is. The rest of his family is just in pure white robes singing hallelujah. The contrast is so good. So good. So we're starting to fill in some of the gaps here. One character that I will definitely mention now is it up on YouTube as of this moment? Let's go ahead and check the Hidden channel. I can't remember exactly. It might be tomorrow that it goes up. Yeah, okay, so it's tomorrow that it goes up. But tomorrow, what's going up on the Hidden Realms YouTube channel, which is where all of the D&D actual play content that I do goes, as well as where the Building Worlds streams end up after they after they leave Twitch. There is a character who is a tabaxi, sort of something of a folk hero to the tabaxi on Sekahashis. And her name is Becca Senura. Senura. And she's part of this world now. And we have another one, Ilani, who is a Loxodon mercenary from Sekahashis. So that's very exciting indeed. Very exciting indeed. Whatever happened with Aramil? Aramil, it has not shown up in the one shot, which is now becoming probably a 2 or 3 shot. I mean, I say that it might end up being a campaign. I don't think it will. But you know, we're doing a follow-up one-shot to the original one-shot, the Rayaran one-shot, which is going to go up tomorrow on the Hidden Realms channel. So he's not actually shown up because that was taking place on Rayara, which was the previous world that we visited before Sekahashis. But Aramil is definitely a character that could show up across this galaxy, and specifically would probably show up, maybe even helping the Pacman Corp corporation to poach monsters, except he would kill them, and they would want to study them. He would show up on Sekahashis. So no things that I have run or made or done have taken place on Sekahashis specifically yet. But like what we've done now is we've solidified Sekahashis to the point where games can be set there. And in fact, I'm running a game that's not going to be recorded, or probably won't be recorded. I'll ask if people won't mind it being recorded. But it's me and a bunch of high school friends getting together and playing D&D for the first time in a long time. So I'm not going to put that pressure on people, I don't think. And we're going to be playing a one-shot set on Sekahashis, which is just them going to go get some water. That's the idea. So that's really that's what happened with Aramil. It wasn't. I thought it was Aromil, but you've typed Aramil, and I would love to pay homage to this character you so kindly have donated to this setting, by getting their name right, as spelling their name correctly. So, which one is it? Arrow or Era, or does it matter? That's my question. I know definitely not A-E-R-O Mill. Alberta, I'm typing up my notes from that session right now. Huzzah! Huzzah for notes. Who knows? Maybe some of the things that weren't entirely resolved in that will come back. So, good to take notes. Good to remember who people are. I always like to, just a little DM note here, GM note, I like to keep for myself a Word or Google Doc document that's just a chart with a list of all of the characters that the party have encountered up to this point, sort of in the order that they have encountered them. I keep I may keep a separate one for myself, with characters that they don't know about, but then I have a character reference sheet, which is super useful for me, and the players get a reference, and a little blurb next to the person's name, saying like how they met and what role they played, and it's a nice little reminder for them. Aramil. Fantastic. Thank you very kindly. Aramil. The Interstellar Monster Hunter. How wonderful. How wunderbar life is. Now Aramil's in the galaxy. I lost all tunefulness in there. You can tell I'm starting to slip from consciousness. Yes, so that's the idea of Sekahashis. I think likely, let's save this map actually. I think we've gotten to a good place with the world. I think there are lots of factions, there are lots of people. We've got a real feel for the vibe and the sorry, I was interrupted in what I was in my nonsense train of thought by Courier's Agency asking, but why can't I have a goblin artificer learn how to build a mech? It's a great question. I can't think of a reason why not. I imagine that for balancing reasons, having one player in a mech suit is rough, right? Our armorer artificers are already kind of like that, and there are, things in place for that. But I think any artificer, with the right tools and inclination, should be able to, over time, research bits and bobs, should be able to buy materials and specific components and make the ones that they can't find on the market. I think that assembly should be an entire process in and of itself, with large margins for error and needing to redo the work. I think it needs to be incredibly expensive to do that, and I think that if a DM, like, if you were giving that to me, that's what I would say. I would say, like, it's an entire quest line in and of itself to build the mech. But if you put in the work and you roll well and you put in the time and the money to research and buy parts and build and craft and assemble a mech suit, at the end of essentially a side quest line, you should be able to build a mech suit which will be very powerful. I think should have a lot of firepower and or punching power, etc., but should also need repairs if it's damaged in combat, and should become inoperable after a certain amount of damage is done to it. I think there are plenty of ways to balance things, not necessarily just saying, no, you shouldn't have a thing that makes you more powerful. I think if you have an entire quest line to build something and it makes sense that you could, you absolutely should be given that opportunity, with the understanding that there is a huge amount of money and time and luck that is, and and skill rather with your character that is needed to do it. So if I have a goblin who learns about pulleys and chains and levers, yeah. So that's how I would go about running that as a GM. But I would never, any DMGM who has a player artificer character come to them and say, look, this is what I want to do, should never say flat out no. Part of the fantasy of playing an artificer is that you get to build crazy contraptions, and that's like you build stuff. You're not like studying the arcane arts. You're building and tinkering and making things. And if you just flat out say no when your excited player comes to you with an idea for their artificer character, and you turn off the entire draw of the class, I don't think that's a strong GMing choice. I think there is a disproportionate amount of fun that you're taking away from your player by saying outright no to that. Saying it's very difficult is reasonable and good, and that's exactly what I would do as a way to balance it. But that's the other thing, is that people get really afraid about balancing combat. Combat's not balanced, and I refuse to balance combat properly. Like, you just throw the hardest thing you can at your players and watch, and throw a giant troll at the big mech. You know what I mean? Like, have something for the mech to fight. Have something that would be otherwise, far more difficult to kill, and then there's a mech and a bunch of little guys and your party fights them like that. So that's fun. What if I make a mech that shoots frogs? You can do what you like with your mech, my friend. Unless they are very special, specific frogs. I think that is I think that's the kind of mech that you can bring to a carnival. I think that's the kind of mech that you can bring to parties and parades and be like, frogs for everyone! And people are like, haha, the hijinks on that mech. Thank goodness it's not shooting real ammunition. Unless you're saying that you shoot at frogs and kill them, which I think, bullywugs are an evil race in D&D. And you can kill them. That's fine. Bullywugs are fair game. Oh no, imagine I make a little hatch that's just filled with ball bearings. Yeah, that's just such a... Ball bearings are one of those things that people forget that they have in any sort of like pack, and they're really good. They're really, really good. They're very useful indeed. How many interesting characters would come up with this world? Let's get a couple more. Let's get a couple of guys. Frackum. I kind of like the idea of a guy called Frackum. Brackham Char. What a stupid name. Let's give a Brackham Char. Eh. What race makes sense for Brackham Char? Brackham Char. Goliath, I think, is Frackham Char. Goliath, in the deep night. Whose fire magic makes him legendary amongst his people. It's kind of an interesting idea. Wait, can artificers make a magical item that shoots flames? Or that make oil grease? That's really interesting. I think that the grease spell is one of the spells the artificers make, and all of the artificers' spells are flavored to be machinery and contraptionry anyway. So I think absolutely that can happen. And then of course they do have, like, I think they have a firebolt cantrip, but they have pyrotechnics as a spell as well, and they've got access to firepower for sure. No, artificers in mechs make just the most amount of sense. Absolutely. And I suppose I was just thinking about, like, building your own mech. I'm also thinking, pardon me, that you know, you could also, like, if you find somebody with a mech, it's like, oh, I'm taking that, and then you repair it, and then you just get in, and then you've got a mech. That's the bypassing way. A mech powered by a fire elemental heating coal. It's a steam powered. Yeah. I think you've got it. I think you've absolutely got it. That sort of fits with the, like, Arcanotech. That's the vibe of artificers anyway, because they're dealing with sort of like magical technology or magic powered technology, and so a fire elemental creating steam power for a mech is perfect, in my opinion. Is actually perfect. That is fantastic. I don't think we're gonna get higher than that on the stream. Actually, I think that might be the high point. I'm actually getting really tired, so I don't think I'm gonna keep going with the world building for Sekahashis, but I will read the next thing you say, Careers Agency, and I will let you guys know. We'll pick a world to visit next week, because we've now done two! We've done 2 worlds! And we're gonna do more. We're gonna keep going throughout, and we're gonna do the Inara Assembly first. We will eventually get to do the Dahiri Empire as well. But we will get to all of the worlds that I have planned, for sure. Is there a character named David Mental Lentil Bolognese? If there isn't, there should be. Not in this setting. I refuse to do that, even though it's very funny. But Frackham Char, it's pretty bad, but it's, still in keeping with sort of like a Star Wars mentality. David Mental Lentil Bolognese. I mean, Mental Lentil Bolognese has got to taste so good, right? The fire elemental's excess heat not used for the coal can be shot out pipes on the arms. Oh, hello, Owen. You're back. Wonderful. Come back. One arm is a flamethrower, the other is a crossbow. I love it. I absolutely love it. You've got ball bearings and grease and fire. All makes a huge amount of sense. Oh, I like how Owen. Did you come back and that was the first thing that you said, Owen? It's like I think it was. I think you came in swinging. You just gone for a few hours, comes back. Uh, is there a character named David Mental Lentil Bolognese? And that's I respect that so much. I already had an infinite amount of respect for you, and then you came out swinging with that, and I thought that was absolutely fucking fantastic. So thank you very much. Uh, there is a hatch under the mech for ball bearings increase. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And the goblin can lean out the top of the mech and throw frogs. So we're keeping that idea. I still think there should be a canister with like a cage on the inside of the mech with frogs in it. And he shoots frogs still on one of the arms. Although, if there's heat inside the mech, then we shouldn't have a cage of living frogs inside the mech where it's hot. Or the fire elemental. No, you're right. You're right. You could just throw frogs. That's fine. That's gonna be your Charadur's name? Your character's name? Your character's name is David Mentalento Polonaise. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Okay. Okay. Now we are going to, yeah, let's quickly do a little export. Save this image. Sekahashin world map. Building worlds maps. Sekahashis world map. We are. Boop boop. That is Sekahashis. We've got the map. And then we are going to close this document. Our fantastic world that we have now finished with for the moment. I'm sure I already have so many ideas to come back to Rayara for. I feel like I need to get a little bit further away, and then eventually they'll figure out the hook to come back and do another world building session on Sekahashis, because there's obviously there's a lot more that can be explored. We'll get rid of that for now. We'll get rid of that. The galaxy of Ignaculus. And let's go to the independent planet states. So, we have done Rayara. We have done Sekahashis. So sort of these two. There are 3 above and a bunch below that as well. More Anar. The world populated by wise centaurs. Drastea. The druidic enclaves of the Furbolg reside here. This is just like little hooks that I've got. Ipia, the jungle world with spirits and animals and mushrooms abound. And then, ooh, I'm going to read the chat before I decide what we're going for. Screw it, I'm making a tank that fires frogs. Forget the mech. The frog is most important. I agree! Good night, Owen. Good night, Courier's Agency. Grib night, Courier's Agency. Wonderful, wonderful to have you guys. And of course, good night, Alberta. Wonderful to have you guys on the stream and chat to you all. If you want to, before you leave, give me an idea of which of these worlds I should go for. We've got Muranar, Drastea, Ipia, Melamara, which is the recovering homeworld of the elves. We've got Limerence, which is a romance getaway world in the style of Ryza from Star Trek. We've got Morbradus, which I don't even know what the hell is on that world. Like, literally no idea. Madazion, which I've done the world building for already. Most of it anyway, so it would be a lot of like determining faction leaders and doing a little bit more like fine work. Zion would be interesting. Unan is a world that I would love to do some more work on. Is a car a land ship? Is a boat a sea ship? That was a good bit, Courier's Agency. I appreciated that. Yep, it's because we had ships that sailed the seas, And then the space is a sea of stars. So it's a spaceship. Why don't we call airplanes airships? Well, they did for a long time, actually. They did call them airships. Like, that's a common alternate name. Or it was at one point, especially in sort of like non-fiction, fiction written about them at the time. Airships. But an aeroplane, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't know why we don't call it that. It's a good question. It's a good question. You're asking the right questions, Mr. Courier's Agency. Sarwin, Unan, Matazion, Morbratus, Limerence, Malamara, Ibia, Drastia, Morinar. Okay. As much as you want to do Malamara deeds, thinking God about Unan. Been trying to piece the bits of information I have on it together for ages. We called them automobiles. Automobiles, auto for doing it themselves, and mobiles for transport. Automobiles. That's the reason, and then eventually we called them cars. I don't know why we called them cars, but automobile. That's what we called it. It wasn't a land ship. It was more like a horse-drawn cart, or horse-drawn carriage, but it could go by itself, hence automobile. So that's the reason for that, if that's a real question. But if this is the first draft of a stand-up bit, I think it's good. I think it's really good. I think you should write it down and perform it. We've got to vote for Unan, and I was going to say Unan anyway. So next week we'll be visiting the world of Unan, and I do have a little bit of world building already done for this, so I will come slightly prepared, but there will still be a lot of work to do and a lot of investigating to do, so that's going to be really... that's going to be really fun. Owen, one premise my friend Justin had is that every day that passes, the characters get 20 minutes less sleep per night. So as the series goes on, they'll get more and more psychotic. I think that's an idea. I don't think like that exact idea has been, I don't think I've seen that done before, but I think that's something that happens in games with like a madness system, kind of based off of H.P. Lovecraft stuff. I think that sleeplessness and madness are mechanics in those. It's it's a great idea, having a game where everyone becomes more and more psychotic. So could the sea ship could go on its own. Wind power, I don't know. Courier's Agency, I don't know the answer to your bit. And you're going Unan or Limerence. Limerence is kind of fun. It's just kind of like Limerence, I imagine, is like much more cyberpunk. So that's gonna be something to get to for sure. So Limerence is gonna be fun. Yeah, very cyberpunk, very Night City, I'm thinking. But let's start with Unan, because Unan is super interesting to me. Yeah, there's a lot with that world, and the thing is that it used to be such a big deal during the time of the Ismaran Empire. Like, it was a planet that was like, it was the hub, like the trading hub of the Empire, even more so than Ismara itself, because Ismara was really a world just as a home for the gods. It wasn't really a trading place. So Unan is a big deal. I'm calling them land ships now. I should too, because it's correct. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll start calling cars land ships. And I'll go to work in a land ship every day. That does sound cool. Damn it, that does sound cool. My favorite city, Grimace? Okay, explain Grimace, and then I'm gonna log off, because I'm curious about why your favorite city is Grimace? What on earth is that? Unan, Unan, I'll do Unan next week. Unan, Unan. And that's it for that. No more. No more, I say. We're also going to cut out the music. There we go. Alrighty. Grimace is that purple guy from McDonald's. Fair enough. Fair enough. First, I should say this has been so much fun. Thank you so much. Thank you, Owen. Thank you, Alberta. Thank you, everybody. I've had another great time. Sekahashis is ready to roll. I'm gonna do some stuff with that world, and now we're gonna do the world of Unan. We're gonna make our way slowly through the world's the independent world states that make up the Unaran Assembly. That's gonna be super fun. Take care. Have a wonderful week. See you back here next time. Peace out. Bye.